All right, welcome here to Nerd Takes. Justin, Jon. We're going to talk about the new show on Disney Plus, which is called Andor. A little bit about this. First of all, it's created by Tony Gilroy. If you don't know who Tony Gilroy is, you probably know him by watching Andor, but more from Rogue One. He did that in 2016. Kind of go back in time, though. He also did Michael Clayton, The Bourne Identity, Armageddon. One of my favorites. That's a fucking great movie. Everybody's favorite. The Devil's Advocate, Dolores Claiborne, and also one of my personal favorites, The Cutting Edge, all the way back in 1992. Right? So this came out September 21st, 2022 on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And it stars Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, Kyle Soller as Cyril Karn, Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rael, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, Denise Gough, whatever, as Deidre Miro.
Also stars Adria Arjona as Bix Colleen, Verade Suthu as Cinta Kaz, Faye Marce as Vel Sartha. This is the first time I've heard a lot of these last names, frankly.
I mean, yeah, you don't hear a lot of their,
No, it's just the first names. We got Anton Lesser plays Major Partagaz, who's like the leader of the Empire. We got Robert Ems as Supervisor Lonnie Jeong, who's the spy for the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Dave Chapman as B2 Emo, and we've got Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera.
And the summary, according to IMDb, prequel series to Star Wars Rogue One, in an era filled with danger, deception, and intrigue, Cassian embarks on the path that is destined to turn him into a rebel hero.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. The show is about, it's going to be a 2-season arc, and the first season is basically about him becoming, joining the rebellion, right?
Basically,
and
yeah.
all of his backstory crap.
all
of his luggage that he's bringing
all of the emotional baggage that comes with him, yes.
We should have given you a spoiler warning because we already spoiled some things, so here's a now more official spoiler warning. I'll even put it in hopefully it's in the jargon, but
right.
We're going to spoil what happens in the show, in the first season.
Please
so thoughts going in, what were your thoughts? Like, what did you expect from this show? Like, did you have high expectations? Let me start with Rogue One. Did you like Rogue One?
Rogue One was awesome.
Okay, that's great. I figured you'd say that. Rogue One is, if I'm ranking the Star Wars IP live action, I'm putting Rogue One probably as like 4 and maybe even 3, but just for nostalgia purposes, I can't put it ahead of Return of the Jedi.
You can't put it ahead of the original trilogy.
But it is the best thing made, I think, by Disney Plus, and I think it's the best thing made since the original trilogy. Again, live action.
Live action and specifically movies.
Right.
I think they've done, obviously, we both think they did well on this TV show. But to answer, I had relatively high expectations just because of, the success of Rogue One, how I felt about Rogue One, and the fact that this was specifically about Cassian Andor and kind of how it led him up to, being one of the central figures in that movie. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't have high expectations because I've been trying to temper my expectations for Disney stuff, dealing with Star Wars IP especially, and also kind of Marvel, but certainly Disney or Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, it might be cool. We'll see what happens. And I mean, it far exceeded my expectations. Let's talk about some of the characters first. Let's kind of work backwards. Saw Gerrera, did you ever watch any of the Rebels or any of the Clone Wars shows?
I started Clone Wars. I haven't finished. I have not watched any of the Rebels.
So you haven't gotten to any episodes where there is Saw Gerrera in it?
In the anime? In
any of his animated stuff?
No.
So that's kind of where he gets introduced for the most part. And man, Forrest Whitaker obviously plays him great in Rogue One, but this was like a whole nother... Like in Rogue One, he's already deranged.
He's already he's off the deep end.
He's jumped the shark for sure. He's crazy.
He's totally paranoid.
Here, he's actually maybe in instances he's like the straight man in the room. He's the one trying to talk sense into some other characters.
Right.
In particular, Luthen.
Yep.
Luthen is okay. Let's just jump to Luthen. Fucking best, one of the best dudes in any show I've seen in a long time.
Because he is
like what a badass,
and he is ruthless.
But he gives some pretty impassioned speeches, and one of the best one is basically him saying, listen, I know I'm not going to survive this shit. I'm just doing it because hopefully people coming after me can continue this, and maybe get to the finish line.
And they take up the mantle and and I'm doing these things because they have to be done. Like,
right.
Yes, this sucks. Yep, those people have to die, but that's like he's playing the long game the whole time, and he's in most cases he's the only one that sees it.
Right. Yeah.
Like Saw doesn't see it, Cassian doesn't see it, Mon Mothma doesn't see it. He's the only one with his eye on the prize, and it's way out there, and that's what he's going towards. And it doesn't matter who gets in the way or what gets in the way. That's what needs to happen. So that's what I'm doing.
Well,
you're gonna hate me, but I don't care.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. Especially this is what it means to start a rebellion and be in war.
You want to make an omelet? You got to crack some eggs.
So let's talk about a character that maybe hasn't quite figured it out yet, which is Mon Mothma. Right?
She does not.
She has a really interesting character arc in this series so far because you see her in Return of the Jedi. Or not, well, yeah,
she's
the leader. New Hope, right? And you see her as the leader. You even see her in Rogue One, and in Rogue One, she's, she's already she's departed regular life.
She's made the jump.
Yeah, but in this, it's like she's really very tormented and she's conflicted.
She's trying not to get caught.
Yeah, but also like not.
That's all. I feel like that's all she's trying to like. She's helping where she can, but it's more important to her not to get caught than it is to help the rebellion.
She's got a family too. She's got a daughter and a husband that she's seemingly hates.
I'm saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's the conflict.
Yeah,
I think you're talking about.
She hates her husband, right?
She hates her husband.
Let's make some
Her
predictions.
husband sucks.
We're gonna make some predictions at the end here. Let's talk about the team of rebels. So you've got Bix, you've got Cinta, you've got Vel, you've got some pretty awesome characters that are brand new to this entire series. You may know the Vel character from Lord of the Rings. She's the other face god, the kid. Remember the one that tries to kill Arya?
You said Lord of the Rings.
I said Lord of the Rings? Game of Thrones. GOT. Sorry, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. All right, anyway, so it's...
The Waif?
The Waif, yes.
Yes.
So that's her. So
yes.
I don't know why I
said you said Lord of the Rings and it threw me off. I was like, no, I know. She was the Waif because I saw her and I was like, holy shit, I know who that is.
Well, so now to see her kind of grown up and being like kind of also badass.
She's still a badass.
Yeah. She's great. And then let's talk about some characters that are not so great. So the worst character in the show is Cyril. And only because he's such a fucking tool.
God, that guy's annoying.
He is really tough to watch. He may be I don't even want to call him like the worst part of the show because I think that you need a character like that. But he's just the worst.
He's the worst.
He's the fucking worst. So I think he's going to get his comeuppance at some point in season 2. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about a character that leaps really high up into the list of droids now, I think, which is B2 Emo.
I think it's hilarious that it's actually Emo because that droid is very emotional.
Very emotional. I don't think that was an accident.
That droid is driven by emotion.
The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, man, I don't care if anyone dies. Kill anyone in the show, but don't fucking kill
the droid.
B2 Emo, man. He's so cute and amazing and like just legitimately cares.
Were you worried during the ambush scene?
Yeah.
He was going to get...
In the finale, I was like, they're going to fucking kill this droid. And I'm going to be
I thought for a second they were going to kill him too.
Well, he has a record. What's his name? Gilroy has a record for track record for killing droids. He kills
K2.
K2 in Rogue One. That was sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
I know he had to go.
Everybody had to die in that because that's what had to happen because
I know, but I don't know. They deserve better. Okay, so I kind of already talked about how I think it ranks in the lexicon of Star Wars live action stuff, at least with Rogue One. I think this is a close right behind that with Mandalorian.
I was going to say
and
especially for the new stuff and like the TV content that they're putting out.
Yeah. You haven't seen all the shows, so I'm going to say that like of all Star Wars IP, including animated, including video games, I think you got to put Rebels and Clone Wars up there for now. But Andor is like, I think season 2 delivers like I think it's going to just as well as season 1 did. I think it might leapfrog a lot of pretty awesome Star Wars IP.
I'm curious, and again, on the same note, I'm curious to see what happens in the next Mandalorian season. Like, where is that going to go? Because that's set up for some pretty cool stuff, and that could start, jumping up the list too.
Well, yeah, and if you're into Rebels, you're going to like Ahsoka too, which is bringing in all the characters from Rebels as well.
Right.
So
I like Rosario Dawson. That's a good cast.
She's really good at it. So there's going to be a lot to see what happens the next year or two for sure. So 8.4 on IMDb, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not surprising. 8.4 seems a little low.
It does. Well, it's because all the fanboys are fucking nerds.
They're nitpicking on shit, I'm sure, and then whatever, screw them.
There's a lot of bots. People just want to fucking tank shit. Honestly, and this is not for people listening to this, but I would say just for people in general, stop fucking bombing everything, because eventually they're going to stop making shit. And we're going to be stuck with reality TV, which is all we had in the fucking 90s. Garbage television.
Yeah.
And desperate fucking, or not Desperate Housewives, but Real Housewives.
Garbage television and Seinfeld and Friends.
Yeah. Real Housewives of fucking Columbia, Missouri, or whatever the fuck. So yeah, keep bombing everything and see what happens. Anyway, off soapbox. All right. So as we're doing some rankings, let's think about expectations. So the things you need to consider are, what were our expectations going in? Rewatchability, as in how likely are you to rewatch this again? What are your feelings while watching it, and overall the vibe? So we're going to turn this over to our trusty nerd takes ranking, Skywalker ranking.
Skywalker ranking. You want me to go first?
You go first.
I'm going to give it. I can't go all out. I'm giving it Red 5 Luke.
Red 5 Luke.
Red 5 Luke.
That's a pretty hell of a score. A pretty good score.
It's a very. Again, I didn't have super high expectations, but I had expectations just given the character that it was centered around and Rogue One and all that stuff. And it started a little, like the first couple episodes, like it started a little slow, but then it just took off.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
I personally loved what they did, which was the three episodes.
You pointed that out to me, and then when watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, because you have kind of the three, and then they broke it out into quarters basically.
Yeah. So if you're watching the show again or even for the first time, it's like, just think of it as like each three episodes is like a little mini movie.
Yeah.
Which is fucking cool. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm going all out. And I'm actually taking this sucker to 11, and I'm saying
this goes to 11.
This is Mandalorian Luke. First time I've given that out.
CGI Luke.
And I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm not saying the reason why it's not even a 10. It transcends that. Is that I think that it's the first time that Disney has. I mean, besides Rogue One, I guess, but with a TV show on Disney Plus, with all the pushback from all the fucking Puritan moms out there that can't have their kids watch non-fucking PG rated shit. They're like, fuck it, we're putting this great show on, and we're gonna see what happens. Mm-hmm. And the audience is there. It was amazing. It basically said, okay, we see your prequel trilogies or sequel trilogies, and we recognize that that's really terrible, and we want to take Mandalorian to the next level. And it's real stories, real people. It's a real rebellion. They don't try and sugarcoat it. I just think it did something that hasn't been done before, personally. And that's why I think it goes to 11. I'm not saying it's the best show of all time, but I am saying it with Star Wars, with Disney Plus, with what they're trying to accomplish, it is special. It's a special show.
Yep.
And I want to watch it again. I've watched episodes of it again. And talking about like the way they tell a storyline, like, it's not even like a ramping up. It's like we get to this level and it just somehow stays there the whole time.
Totally.
Like as soon as you're like, oh, this has got to be like, oh, the peak is like them,
escaping prison.
Well, no, I was gonna say before that, it's the big robbery, right?
Right.
Okay, that's the peak of the season. Cool. Now the rest can be storytelling. Nope. Now it's the escape from the prison. Nope. Now now we're gonna have Luthen fucking having a goddamn lightsaber. And when we talk about that, a lightsaber ship that just demolishes everything. I'm just saying,
so cool.
They took some risks, and I think it really paid off. And so it needs to be recognized. Predictions for season 2.
I have no idea. I don't even.
I got a prediction. He's going to join the rebellion.
Technically he already did.
That's true. That was a pretty awesome last scene.
Like it was a good way to end it. It's like, well, how's it gonna?
What's going to
happen?
Kill me or take me in.
Yep.
And then black.
And then
I was like, well, Luthen's smiling.
Yeah,
then black.
He smiles and then black. I mean, we know what happens. But it's just interesting to see kind of where it goes. And I'm curious. Again, like what we're talking about. Like I'm curious to see when they start tying in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like when they start tying that storyline in.
Yeah. Well, apparently
that's probably how that's how it's got to end.
Well, season 2 is supposed to be taking some large time jumps We're talking like a couple years, then 10 years, like all within the season. It's going to be a big time jump before the season even starts. It'll be taking place this many years after the end of season 1.
Okay.
And I think they're going to be doing time jumps during the season, so that'll be helpful. Because the characters have to get older because it's like 15 or 20 years down the road when Rogue One technically happens. So they got to jump all that time, and you can't really do that on screen. So going to be pretty cool to see. I believe it comes out next year at some point.
I'm sure.
And so, there's a review. Andor.
Andor.
Check it out.
You got to watch it.
Nerd Takes.
Nerd Takes.